Connor Quinn. Sorry. Because I was like, money, and they were like, no, a baby. It's like, oh, that's weird. I was like, fuck it, we didn't win.
Paid advert by Aptamil Follow-On Milk, sponsored by Aptamil Follow-On. We believe that every feed is a gift. That's why we've dedicated over 50 years to breast milk research. Aptamil Follow-On Milk, your life, our science. Breastfeeding is best. Follow-on milk should be used as part of a mixed diet from 6 months. Talk to a health professional.
So, there are very few women, and it's kind of it's actually kind of depressing to say in 2024, but there are very few women who are pioneering women's health. Like there are, like we can go, no, there's loads on social media. There aren't. There's very few women pioneering women's health, shouting out about the things that have been long forgotten, haven't been researched, you know, no evidential proof, no medical reports on, because why would they care, right? And this is somebody who is, you know, championing women, is a pioneer for women's health, is irreverent, honest. Nothing she's saying is to court controversy. It's actually just all truths. And I adore her. And I actually think it's just such an honour to be sitting with the fabulous pharmacist, Laura Dowling, on my podcast. She has her own podcast, which is Fabulous, Fabu. But to be on my podcast is such an honour because I think I've so much to learn from you. I look to you and I just know this is going to be some fucking chat. So welcome.
Thank you. What an intro.
Well, what else have you done? Is there anything else you've
I
done?
hope I don't disappoint.
But you are, okay, Laura, you are a pharmacist. Talk to me about your actual background. Like, what do you, imagine you said here, I'm
pretending actually.
Stop
That's just
it.
a
Can
handle.
you imagine you said I'm a beauty therapist? Like, you are a pharmacist.
Yeah, no, I am a pharmacist. I do get that sometimes. Are you actually a pharmacist? I am a pharmacist. I studied in pharmacy school in Trinity College, Dublin, from 1998 to 2003. So it was a 5-year course. It was like full on 40-hour a week lectures and labs. And yeah, came out the end of it then as a qualified pharmacist and went straight into community pharmacy and stayed there for 21 years.
Where in community pharmacy? In Dublin?
So in Dublin. So I worked for Boots over in Tala initially. I did my pre-reg there. Then I moved to Adrian Stacks and I worked around the outskirts of Dublin as a locum relief pharmacist for her. She did lots of nursing homes. It was really intense, but Jesus, it was a great way to learn really quick on the job. Then I managed her shop out in Dalkey for a year and then I moved to Stillorgan and I bought a house in Stillorgan. Yeah. So then I got a job in Lloyd's in Stillorgan and stayed there for 17 years.
And now?
And now I am doing... Well, I run my own nutritional supplement business, Fabu, yes. And I also do public speaking and I do shows called Fabulous Vulva.
She's an influencer.
Yes,
I'm joking.
I know.
No, but like what I'm saying is you now have a career. But actually,
yeah.
I've asked you that question as a lead and I knew all of this because all of that, what you've seen, and you must have seen it all. You're talking about old folks' home. You're talking about being on the periphery of the city. You're talking about, you know, low coming. You have seen so much and heard so much from women, right?
Yeah.
And men.
Yeah.
And so you've taken that wealth of experience. You were saying you've 3 sons.
Yeah.
Like they're not raised yet. They're teens. You're living in Stillorgan. You're kind of settled in that regard. And you are using that now to go out and talk the talk. And I think that's amazing. So that's true. Am I correct? You've taken all of this experience and you're spouting out the good stuff.
Yeah, no, it is. It's definitely from my years in pharmacy. Even my supplement business is, I learned from my years in pharmacy. And that's why I brought these products to the market, but more so look at the stuff that I put out in social media and the podcast, and that is all to do with the things that I learned from people that I literally dealt with every day in the pharmacy. And I want people to have the information that I know that they don't have because they will come in every day with the same questions all the time. Women not knowing about their bits, women not knowing how they can help themselves because it's not out there mainstream yet. How women can, you know, have better vaginal health, better sexual health.
It's all a bit taboo-y.
Oh, I know. God forbid we started talking about female vaginas.
No, but it is a little bit still. I mean, we're getting places, but we still have a lot of hang-ups and taboos, and women who are sexually confident or in the know about their sensuality or want to ask for better sex or ask for better healthcare postpartum or don't want to have fucking babies or blah, blah, blah. All of it is a myriad of a shit show still in this country, right? I mean, even you think about repeal and you think about how late in the day it was, right? You literally are trying to help and kind of like even the nutrients, but what is, I know this is a bit of a like snippet, but what is the one clanger that you remember from your days that upset you most, that women would come in and be unsure about?
They were afraid to go to the doctor to ask for help because they didn't think that their issue was important enough to get help for.
Which one predominantly? What issue most? What's the one thing that you're like, God, it's such a pity?
Well, don't forget that I worked in pharmacy during the years where HRT was absolutely demonised. So I worked in pharmacy during the time where women weren't being prescribed HRT, and they had been taken off HRT after the 2001 Women's Health Initiative study came out, and it was thought that
we'll all get breast cancer.
We'll all get breast cancer.
Yeah.
So I worked in pharmacy during those and they were dark years for women. There was they say there was an entire generation of women that missed out on HRT, but actually it was 2 generations of women that missed out on HRT.
Depression,
and all of the anxiety, the depression,
exactly. Wellness. Bad marriages probably as a result.
Well,
mood
interestingly
swings.
enough, so that Women's Health Initiative study came out and women were being taken off HRT in around the same time that Viagra was put in the market. So you've women's, libido, sexual health, all of those issues.
That is a statement in itself.
I know.
At the time, men are given Viagra to help with erectile dysfunction so that they can have better sex. Women are told HRT might be damaging for their health to help them with the menopause, and it would have reduced all of those symptoms that really affect women's mental health. That is a clanger.
So you can imagine, the disconnect in relationships then. And when women come into perimenopause and menopause, naturally with just even the physical changes that can happen, their vaginas can feel dry, sore. They may not be interested in sex anymore. Like even our clitorises can shrink due to lack of estrogen. The clitoris is how we orgasm. So all of those things can happen, and then you've the partner in your life able to get a raging hard on. So that, when you think of that,
and you're
disconnect,
not feeling it, there's a disconnect in the relationship. You can't talk about it. Why are you moody? What's this? You're physically changing, and you're saying, why would your marriage last, or why would there be good times at home? Isn't that so sad?
It is. And look, all marriages aren't based on sex, but for some marriages it's a very important part of their relationship. And if one person isn't coming to the table, or if there's issues there, and it can also be a bit of a taboo in relationships in terms of if someone's saying I'm not getting enough, and the other person's like, well, I've no libido, or I'm not interested. Yeah. So
that's hard.
It is. It's
Is
difficult.
it a breakdown of a relationship at that point, do you think? Or
I think that it can be. I think that we need to talk about things more, and we need to actually acknowledge these things. I think that when, if we are in a partnership where our partner understands what's going on, that's actually half the battle. So if you can talk about things, that's
I know,
very
but Laura,
true.
if someone wants sex and they need it and their sex drive is high and they need intimacy and the other person isn't, I don't know if you're ever going to fix that by talking. That can be that's a trigger.
Well, I think that yes, but I think that if they talk to each other and learn and find a middle ground, they can. And if both partners are willing to move slightly,
fair.
And then there's ways and means around it too. But even so far as lubes, I've been banging on about this for ages. So I would get women coming into me looking for prescriptions for, say, vaginal estrogen, and that's because there's vaginal atrophy there. It's because there's dryness, there's soreness. It's not just though about sex. It can be to do with UTIs, regular UTIs. It can be just discomfort in general. But when I say to them, or when I used to say to them, are you using a lube when you're having sex? And they'd be like, what? No.
I'm not in a porn film.
But the reality is,
am I
that
right?
if you,
it's like, why would I lose you?
If you're having issues with sex and it's uncomfortable, why aren't you using a lube? But all the lubes out there that are sold in most pharmacies or most, areas, they are made by men for men. So they all have glycerin in them. Glycerin is a sugar alcohol. It sucks the moisture out of a vagina. Wow. So when you're young, it doesn't really make a difference because you're naturally self-lubricating and it's fine. But if you're older and you don't lubricate yourself,
when does that all
more,
change? Post
peri?
50?
No. It can change in your 40s.
Stop.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and also women that breastfeed as well, they can have vaginal dryness, and that can warrant the necessity for a vaginal
they're making
estrogen.
lubes that are really benefiting the guy, getting all that, the ones
nice
that are
slippy slidey glidey, but in actual
yeah.
and it might be slippy slidey glidey for the woman during the sexual act,
sure,
right?
but not after.
But then afterwards it can be itchy and sore. So you need to find a vaginal friendly lubricant that doesn't have this shitty, for want of a better word, cheap glycerin in it. You need a glycerin free one that will give them back the moisture that they need.
Sad.
Well, I'm telling you, but we're living in a man's world still, but we're slowly making progress.
Are we?
Still making progress.
Are we?
Well, I think even the fact that we can have these conversations is a sign that we are.
Jesus, Laura. I mean, for feck's sake, the fact that you've even just uncovered those two things that I probably wouldn't have, that clangor about Viagra and HRT, the fact that you're saying the lubes on the market that are glittery and pink and like, ooh, you know, stimulating are kind of
oh my goodness, the last thing that you need to put on your vagina is glitter, or like, you know,
unless it's a party.
You know, this heat one or tingle. Like, you know, if you had a dry, sensitive face, would you put a tingling cream on it? No. So you absolutely,
it's so horrendous.
Those things are so wrong.
It's such a delicate area. Like we forget it's internal. It's not like a man's organ. Like it's oh my God.
But even the vaginal washes or the Femme Fresh or the, you know, these things, I don't know, Kourtney Kardashian's come out with a gummy to make you purr, to make as like raspberry flavor, designed to make you taste better down there or like smell better down there. It's just outrageous that that's even being peddled.
But it's also like we must always smell and look amazing.
Oh, smell like a flower down there.
God forbid we've just normal bodies.
I know.
Wow. If you don't follow Laura Dowling, which most people listening to this podcast episode will follow her, you know her content is so visceral, is so like always game changing, always turning things on the dial, always really explosive. Like even when you're talking about what's going on in Gaza, when you're talking about supplements, when you're talking about women's health, menopause, belly fat, like everything you do has something to say. Are you tired? Like as in, is it tiring spouting the good shit, but feeling like you're kind of, and don't say there's loads of you because there isn't, because you're kind of alone in that and you're doing a really good job and it is your career and you're helping, but it must be exhausting creating the content, having to bang on about this shit, go on the podcasts.
It's
Are you
tiring.
tired?
Yeah, no,
Is it depressing?
No. Well, I'm just back from holidays. I was away on holidays there.
Feet, if you can close,
I know, I've
zoom in on the
feet.
feet.
But it is tiring, and sometimes I do wake up going, oh God, what am I doing? Am I an idiot? Do you know that kind of way you kind of have that?
Second guess it, yeah.
Yeah, but look, I do like doing it, and I like the feedback that I get from people because generally it's positive.
But I mean, tiring that we're still having to do this, and we're probably going to have to do it for a long time.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant physically tiring.
Well, I know you're
me.
probably wrecked. Like we're all wrecked.
Yeah,
but you're raising 3 boys, you're running this business now. But like, I'm saying, do you get jaded from the fact you have to do this?
Keep doing it all the time. No, because there's constantly new things and medical advances. And my worry and concern would be is look what has happened in the States in terms of termination of pregnancy care. That has been revoked because people kind of sat back in their laurels.
Really, really the most worrying thing that's happened.
So
in the
I
last
think
few
that
years.
we can't just take our finger off the pulse because we think that, oh, that's in now, therefore. Like things can change
Explain
in
to
a
women
referendum.
who don't know about this or just having a time or have just had a baby or are really busy that may not have heard about this. I know it was but what happened? It's so scary.
Basically Roe v. Wade was overturned. That was when abortion came into the US, and it was allowed in most states, I think, or every state. And basically that was turned on its head in was it 18 months? And now there are some states that do not offer termination of pregnancy care. And you know, you have these diehard religious people going, oh well, all lives matter. And yes, absolutely, all lives do matter. But you know, there's no medical care for women over there. Even you had to have a baby over there, it's like 50 grand or something. It's outrageous.
That's horrendous, yeah.
And they don't look after people when they are born or sick, or you're just left there. So I just think that it's a real hypocrisy what they're doing over there. But regardless, I think women should be able to avail of termination of pregnancy if they want to. They have their own body autonomy. It is women's healthcare, and it is great that we have it here, although it's not ideal the way it's in Ireland as well. There's, you know, it has to be done in a certain amount of weeks.
Still all the bandwidths and
of course, but on saying that, we can't just sit back and go, oh, it's here now, therefore it's great. Like there are still counties in Ireland that don't offer it, that women have to go to a different county.
Or GPs who will not engage in that conversation, Laura. That's something we're not talking about. They will not engage in that conversation. So you go find someone, if you live in an area, maybe you're pregnant and it's outside of your marriage and you have to reach out and you have to go to another county, or if you're someone who is younger or, you know, your family, like there's so much taboo.
There are healthcare practitioners that won't engage, but there's also healthcare practitioners that are being harassed. Like I was speaking to a GP who is in a county in the northwest of Ireland, and she says she has to meet people in their cars sometimes to give them an assessment because she can't do it in the surgery that she's in because it's a combined care surgery. So that's where we are. So although it's great and like we'll bang on about, oh, it's great, it's still not where it should be. So we can't rest on our laurels and say, oh, just because of this, therefore that's great. We need to constantly be beating the drum.
No, and like This is a parenting podcast, and I've beaten the drum about fertility and pregnancy loss and postpartum care, which I think is really lacking in our maternity hospitals, and just how it's this random checkup and then it's like off you pop with your poor mental health and your, bad breastfeeding issues and mastitis and broken vagina, shit pelvic floor, screaming baby. Best of luck with that. Like, it's really sad. And
but it's really underfunded.
It's underfunded. I'm not blaming
so
one particular. I'm just
underfunded,
saying it's very sad. But we've banged on about that, and I went on and on about my ectopic and the fears, how if you don't know anything about an ectopic pregnancy, how I didn't know what the hell was going on with my body, the shoulder pain, whatever happened to me, but how in America that would be considered a termination. So you could die, so you could have ectopic pregnancy, and you could be left as a woman to die from that, because to take that baby out.
It's crazy.
So it's just mental.
Yeah, it is.
Talk about pregnancy and postpartum care. You've just said it's underfunded there. Give me some sound bites or give me some info about what you think is happening in this country to women who are getting pregnant, going through all of
I think
care.
I think that the system isn't fit for purpose in terms of it. There's just a serious lack of funding, and I know, like, I have doctor friends, and all they want is for the woman to be safe and happy and healthy, and the baby to be safe and healthy and happy, and they would love nothing more than to be able to give them the one-to-one attention that they deserve. But once that baby is out, there's another woman waiting for a baby to be delivered, and there's another woman that needs a C-section upstairs, and then there's someone else that could be having a postpartum hemorrhage. So to give the women that care and attention that they really need and deserve, it's not there. The funding isn't there. The staffing isn't there either. And even for breastfeeding, like, we all know breast is best. We know this, okay? But it's a marathon sport. I did it myself with my 3 kids.
Well, yeah.
But I loved it. I took to it like a duck to water because my mother was a midwife. And I saw her breastfeed all my siblings. I saw my aunties breastfeed my cousins.
It was normal.
It was tits out, and it was free for all, right?
Same.
So I came from that. Women need to be getting, we give them all the education when they're pregnant. We give them all the support and the love, and it's all about them and the baby and the baby and the baby. And then the baby comes, and it's like the woman's kind of forgotten about. And as long as the baby reaches their milestones, the woman's left aside, which is all, and it's, the old saying, what is it? Happy wife, happy life type thing. It's happy mummy, happy everything. Okay. So we were severely underfunded in a lot of areas in Ireland. Like, don't even talk to me about children's mental health services, which is, another big bugbear of mine. But, you can only bang one drum at a time, I think, because I could just be giving out forever. But I think that, there needs to be change. I'm not sure how it's going to be done, because we need more staff. We need better facilities. We need much more multidisciplinary team, not just doctors and nurses.
No, totally.
We need the psychotherapists, the psychiatrists. We need absolutely.
Yeah.
We need dietitians. We need nutritionists. We need PTs almost to help women as well with, their postpartum, getting back into exercise and healthy ways of living too.
Just on that, I think there's a lot of, and this is a whoa statement, and you might say, no, that's not correct. I have a lot of energy. I feel like I'm mostly a positive person. I've had my struggles. I still do. I feel there's a lot of very sad women in this country. And I'm not talking about this kind of like, everyone is depressed, this blanket kind of phraseology, but I think there's a lot of sad women in this country who are frustrated. You've just talked about, sexual health or libido or postpartum care or the loneliness of the breastfeeding days or the, newborn baby day and someone has to go off and work, or there's a lot of sadness in Ireland surrounding fertility and the pressure and shame and the guilt and the efforts that go into fertility. And yes, it's a partnership and it's very hard on, woman and woman, if that's how you're doing it, woman and man, but it's a very stressful place. Talk to me about fertility and the pressures and this like, I've hit 40 and will I? And what is going on here? So is there a bit of we've kept it too late, or is that all bullshit? Like, is there just that we're doing it wrong?
No, we're born with the amount of eggs that we'll ever have, and they just die off year on year. So, and by the time you hit 35,
that is a scientific fact, right? That's not just people.
No, it is very much a fact. The older you get, the harder it is to conceive post 35, definitely. Okay. We are made as a species to give birth in our late teens, early 20s. If you ask anyone that works in a maternity hospital, my mum included, she was like, you get them in at 17, 18, they spit those babies out like there's no tomorrow. We are physiologically designed to give birth at that age, but we're not mentally ready, certainly in today's society, nor am I suggesting that we should be doing this or young girls should be doing this, because God almighty, my son's 16, if one of the little girls he was hanging around with got pregnant, it would be, I would feel for her because it would be terrible for her. But the thing about it is that that's how we're designed. Okay, so as we get older, we are less inclined to have babies or get pregnant naturally. It can happen, but post 35 it can be difficult. And I think women are being sold a bit of a pup, right? I think we're being told, yes, you know, have the college career, you know, go to college, have the career, wait till you find the right man, you know, find 10 men, make sure you find the right one though. Sure. And then you know, get the house, have the marriage, and then start
get
baby.
the really big salary
but
too,
but if that's like in your late 30s and then you're coming into your early 40s, it can be tricky. And the problem is women blame themselves when they have difficulties because they're like, I shouldn't have waited. My sister is a case in point, and she is okay with me talking about this. She is 38. She's had an IVF cycle and she got pregnant, and thankfully, but they were trying. They find it really difficult, and she said it is a really lonely space.
So lonely.
Because, you know, it's almost like this shame that you're not a proper woman or a proper
Where
man.
are you? Where's your
reproduce.
vagina? It's so crap. Why is your vagina so crap? Everyone's banging on about their pregnancy announcements, their fucking gender reveals.
You see, and all you see is babies being pushed around. And there are so many people that are struggling. Like it's a huge statistic. Like, is it 1 in 5 couples, 1 in 6 couples? Maybe it's less. And as we get older, it's going to continue. And, you know, IVF costs so much money. And then you have other people jumping on the bandwagon. And, if you do this, if you stand on one leg, if you take all these supplements, if you...
Your husband stops having a pint on a Friday, if you stop having a burger, if you weren't so
caffeine.
Fat. Yeah,
exactly. So I think that we need to give women the facts, and sometimes they can be stark facts, but also they need to know. So it's like... You know, maybe they could freeze their eggs when they're in their early 30s, and then at least that may give them some kind of a chance when they're a little bit older. I'm not suggesting that necessarily has to be the way to go, but if we're not telling them the truth, and like, you know, men are lucky, like even though as men age, their sperm count does decline and their, you know, the sperm health does decline, they can get away with it for a lot longer than women. It is quite dependent on women's egg health.
Why are we in school learning about putting a condom on a banana, right? And I know things have come on.
For God's sake,
I know things have come on, but I'm just saying, you know.
I didn't learn about putting a condom on a banana, did you?
I fucking was bananaing.
Did you not learn about how to put it on with your mouth?
That was
Was that the other day?
That was 5th year. Things got kinky. I was in a Protestant school, a Church of Ireland school. So yes, we certainly
you did.
Learn.
Okay, I was in Catholic school.
Jesus,
There's none of that.
No, definitely not. And like, if you have your periods, why are we not in the curriculum learning that actually you might, like it's all like, don't get pregnant, because if you get pregnant, you're a whore and you won't get to university, right? Why aren't we saying that you actually may not be able to get pregnant at a certain stage of your life, or you might lose? I was a bit shocked that I was losing babies, like as if they fallen out on the street, like losing pregnancy loss. It's like, what? All you've ever heard is don't get pregnant, but do it when you found the right chap.
I know.
So why are we not talking about, you may not even get pregnant anyway. You might have pregnancy loss. You may not even have the eggs for fertility. It's such a pity that all of these topics, like we talk about consent, all of this stuff needs to be talked about.
As does menopause, which is really important.
Which Davina McCall is banging on about in the UK, isn't she?
She is, yeah. She's doing a good job. Yeah. But all of us are going to go through menopause, but it's never discussed in schools. And I don't know if that's going to change. I think it should do.
Do you feel it's and I'm just playing devil's advocate. Do you feel it's like we're a bit too young to know about menopause, or is it really important to know about all the cycles?
No, you need to know all of it. You need to absolutely know all of it, because
just
knowledge
to be armed.
Is power.
Yes, okay.
And also because if your mother went through menopause early, you're likely to go through menopause early.
Is that true?
Yes. So if your mother had an early menopause, that can happen to you too. And that will, again, reduce your chances of having a baby if you're waiting until later life. So if we're not talking about these things, why would we not talk about these things?
Would you take HRT?
I would if I needed it. Yeah, absolutely. I'm 44. I don't have... No, I'm not too young for it, actually.
Okay.
There are women that could be taking it in their early 40s, even late 30s if they need it.
Is perimenopause the 10 years up until when your period stops, or is that all just shite?
Not necessarily 10 years, but it's certainly the years where your hormones are fluctuating. So I'm definitely in perimenopause.
And what, do the periods less?
The periods kind of are a little bit sporadic. I would have been 27 days on the button since the age of 12. Now it might be 23 days, might be like 32 days, might be like 21 days. So they start to change a little bit. You might start to get more irritable. Your sleeping might be affected. You might find that you're more fatigued. You might find you want to stab your husband because he's chewing his cornflakes the wrong way. He's breathing. Well, that's kind of normal as well. Anyway, you don't necessarily need to be perimenopausal for that. Loads of things happen in the perimenopausal years that, yes, and that can be up to 10 years before you actually are in menopause, which is the day that your period that your last period is 12 months ago.
Would you be sad?
Will you be sad?
Will I be sad?
To not have a period? I don't know. I've never been asked that, actually. I do like getting my periods, actually. Interesting enough. Do you know what it is? It's kind of this build up of tension in my body. And I'm like, and I know I'm
super horny for a week.
And I know I'm irritable. and then almost like you see it in your pants, you're like, oh.
But it's part of you.
It's like, I do like it.
It's a pain in the hole, but it's also been a pain in the hole it gave you children without being too like, ooh, we're so like, #blessed. It gave you your children. There was a reason for it coming.
Yeah.
There's also the grief in a period. It feels like a miscarriage when you're trying for a baby because it feels like every month you get one. But it's been with you since you were 13,
This is true.
14.
Now, some people hate their periods because it's so sore as well. But
and it's a shit show.
I do like it.
I think I will grieve my period.
Yeah, I never thought of that. Maybe when I maybe ask me when it happens. But I do, because people sometimes say like, oh, I was delighted to get into menopause because my period stopped. They were such a pain in the ass. I don't think I'll feel like that. I think I'll be more like, I don't know. I actually don't know. I worry maybe about my bone health and about all those other things and about my cardiovascular health, not necessarily about my vagina or my periods just yet.
Cyclically, are we assholes? So you're talking about this month, and I'm loving this. I'm following like Sophie Morris on Instagram, all these wonderful women who are talking about how we never, until we had kids, and you're kind of out of that going, there's such a change in those 4 weeks cyclically of our moods. What weight training we should be doing, what we should be eating, how you should have the comfort days, what we never were told as kids, why we're so cross, depressed, angry, and it's the end, and you're going to quit your job, break up with your husband, and then 3 days later you're... Talk to me about that cyclical help.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's unreal.
I'm only now at 40 finding out I've actually a cycle.
I think young girls now, though, they are...
Are they on it?
More on it, definitely.
Only this last year,
it's
I'm
all
like,
over TikTok. But yeah, we should be resting at certain times of the month.
Yes.
We should be, you can do your HIIT classes certain times of the month. And then like there are other times where you just need to rest and you just need to chill out and listen to your body where you are more tired. You're definitely more irritable. And that's just to do with the ebbs and flows of our cycle. But that's also the reason why women were not ever really part of clinical trials up until the 1994. So this is really interesting, right? So we all know that medicine has been built around the male body, don't we? And lots of tests are done on the males and like not so much on females. Even drugs that were specifically used in females were tested on males first. And that the reason why is we're a little bit more complicated. We're a bit trickier to do clinical trials on. We're more expensive because we have the cyclical. We've our infradian rhythm,
changing all the time,
which is our night, which is our hormonal fluctuations. But we have our circadian rhythm. Men just have the circadian rhythms. They're just easy. They wake up, they
have a boner.
Yeah, exactly.
Morning glory. Go to work.
Eat. Go to work. Go to the gym. Come home. Same. They can do the same thing.
Women, it's like I'm ovulating. I'm my period.
Yeah.
I'm depressed.
So
I'm horny.
And they don't know whether or not, like, say, a change in a woman or like some symptoms that she might experience if she is taking a drug for a clinical trial is to do with the drug or to do with her hormones. So they just were like, fuck that. We'll just leave them all out. 51% of the population, we're just not going to test them. So it was only.
I kind of get it. It's hard work. We're hard work.
We are, but we're also 51% of the population.
I get it though. If I was doing my job, I wanted to get out on a Friday at 5 p.m. I wouldn't test.
Where are the ethics there now, in fairness?
Totally. It's
so in
horrendous.
1994, they brought in that women had to be tested, but it's still, medical science is way behind. I know.
Sorry, what?
And even then, it's not 50% of the clinical trial. It's a certain percentage off. So it is interesting.
30,
and sure, the Greek...
30 years ago? Are you joking?
No, I'm not. And the Greek word for uterus is hystra, which is where the word hysteria comes from.
Or hysterectomy.
Well, it's where we'll take the hysteria out of the woman. Hysterectomy. So hysteria is
game changer. Stop it.
But sure, they used to think that if a woman had mental illness, the more sex she had, the sperm would actually travel around the body up into the brain and just cleanse the brain. It was mental illness. So if a woman was showing signs of depression, it was like you just need to have more sex with your husband. It's like that was.
But to be fair, we are told now via TikTok, don't go on antidepressants or go to your GP. Have more sex for the endorphins. Run more.
Who tells them that?
It's kind of weird.
Well, look, okay.
Look, it does.
Do you know what? There are endorphins that are released when you have an owl ride, and there are endorphins that are released when you have sex. But some people need antidepressants. And actually, interestingly enough, some women that are going through perimenopause and menopause, they don't need antidepressants. They need HRT.
Yes.
Because it's the lack of estrogen that's causing the low mood and
let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about sex. But let's specifically talk about our sexual, like this vulva thing. Can you break this down?
I should have brought her with me. I was running around the house looking for it, and actually one of the lads was out cleaning
one
the
of your
garden.
Kids was playing with it.
I was like, have you seen my vulva? Have you seen my vulva? Have you seen? And I have to whisper because we were outside because they're mortified by me.
Imagine how amazing your kids are going to be. They're going to be so amazing.
So yeah, I didn't bring it with me, but I do have a puppet that I go around with because women don't know what their own vulva looks like. And I say that in my talks. I say if we took a picture of your vulva and put them all up here behind us, would you be able to pick yours out in the lineup?
Yes, I would.
Would you?
No.
Okay, well you see. But if it was a group of men, would they be able to pick their willy and balls out in the lineup? Would our friend here, producer, Barry, would you be able to pick yours out in the lineup? You see, he's nodding. Because I bet you he looks at it all the time and plays with it all the time, the way all men do, right? Fiddling with it.
My husband, since I've known him, and I don't mind saying
forth.
this, I've known him for 12, 13 years, he's never not got a hand down his dick. Like,
they're all the
they
same.
love them.
They're all the
and
same.
I say, why? It's my best mate. Really?
They
and
just
now you're going
love
to cut
fiddling
some
with
carrots?
it. So they'd definitely be able to pick it out, but women
But
don't.
also, they're not that attractive, so it's easy to pick out a wheelie and a set of balls.
But their own, if it was,
but come on, it's also external, Laura. Let's break that down. Of course they could pick out.
Hang on one second though.
Yeah.
Our vulva is external. It's the external genitalia, but we're not encouraged as little girls to look at it. We're not encouraged as little girls to play with it. If you have a little boy and he's playing Willy Copter on the couch while he's watching Peppa Pig, it's like, oh, would you look at him playing Willy Copters and he's so cute.
That's not true. People are like, stop touching your dick.
No,
Come on.
they
Really?
don't. It's a given.
Actually, right, my friends are like,
It is
he
a
got a little
given.
boner last night, and there's a big laugh, and I'm like, Gia, stop scratching your vagina.
It's a given that boys will do that. But if
Okay.
the little girl has her hands down her pants, what do you tell her? Take your hand out of your pants.
Wow. I have two
Why
little
do-
girls.
Okay, so you're doing that and you're already telling her it's shameful to put your hand down your pants.
I think can I say something? Do you not think, can I say something? Because I'm all about like not having shame and and I worry so much about my daughters in this world. Do you not think it's more just to do with hygiene and personal health and also just like
No.
people don't want to necessarily watch you fingering
No.
yourself?
But you're not fingering yourself. They're playing with themselves, okay? And it's a form of self-soothing.
You
It's
make
like
me feel
sucking.
terrible.
It's like sucking their thum, okay? But if a little boy is doing it and he's fiddling with himself,
Don't mothers
it's
say don't do
accepted.
that? I think they do.
No, I don't. They don't.
They just can't let
They
them
don't.
at it.
They let them at it because their dads are doing it too. So it's like, oh, what's the point? Sure, he's doing it. Your man's doing it. Why was the point in telling her son not? They don't. So
Oh my God, you are
there's
right.
a shame there from a very young age with little girls.
Yes.
And if that, so from a very young age, they're told. First of all, they're not told it's a vulva. They're told it's a vagina,
Yeah.
or it's a Betsy, or a Mary, or a Margaret, right?
Or
so
a
the vagina is
wee-woo or a
actually
wee-wah.
the tunnel.
Okay, the
where-
vagina is the tunnel. The vulva is this
beautiful
gorgeous stuff here.
outside, which
Okay.
contains the labia, the clitoris, the clitoral hood, the labia
the
majora,
kind of
the
wall
minora,
of the vagina. The
100%.
entrance, but the vagina is the
the love tunnel, or the entrance. So we're giving the wrong names.
Okay.
We're shaming them when they touch themselves. Therefore, how can they reasonably expect to be open about issues like STIs when they get to sexual age, or if someone touches them inappropriately and they're able to actually say that person touched me there, and
Yes.
they're,
Or
you're
masturbation.
giving them the language exactly.
Yes.
When they're postpartum and they have incontinence, or which a lot of women do, if they get to perimenopausal, menopausal age and they have issues, if we give them a language when they're really young, that means that there'll be no shame about that as they get older and go through life.
This is mind blowing though.
And it means they'll be able to ask for things
But
in
I
bed.
feel like I'm
that-
really progressive, and I feel like I am a smart, intuitive woman who doesn't want to be necessarily raised the same way as we were all raised, right? And I think I'm doing a good job with my girls, but now you say that, I'm like, no, I do a lot of like, oh, what do you do? You know, don't stick your finger there. Like I do.
If you just let her off,
Oh.
she'll just get over it and move on. Now, obviously, if she's 15, she needs to go to her bedroom, right? But if she's... But when they're young, it's not
15
sexual.
rubbing against the hobby horse.
But they, but
Louisa,
they,
when
they
you
do
go on.
rub off
Stop,
themselves.
I know.
And it's
when
natural.
can girls start wanting to touch? Like, I do think little girls now are feeling that feels nice. Am I correct? Because we didn't know about this back in the
Does
day.
feel- I guarantee you did it, but you were told not to.
Sorry, of course. I'm just saying, I don't know about what age, but I do feel like they are investigating how that feels nice.
Of course they are, because
Yeah, but
it
I
does
just-
feel nice. So they do it from whenever they discover it, and they keep doing it until they're told that it's shameful.
Oh my God. Oh my God, you're killing me.
So you just need to let it happen, and then they'll be fine, and they'll be much more in tune with themselves too. And if you're giving them the proper names for their bits as well, as I said, there'll be no shame there. Like, you know, the shame associated with STIs
So it's okay
is
for
huge.
5, 6, 7-year-olds to be kind of scratching or touching or wondering what that is, or
or
asking
rubbing
questions.
over, or like lying on her belly and kind of like dry humping almost. They do that.
That's true though, right? I'm almost like, what are you meant to do?
You're just meant to not say anything because it's
Okay.
not, and just let them off.
Okay.
And then and move on.
Does that mean, this is also a bit of a loaded question, does it mean they're more sexual when they're older? No.
That's,
So
and
it's
you
all
see,
myth.
that's the thing. You
No,
see,
I'm
what you're doing
asking.
is you're looking at a little girl
I'm
doing something like that and you're
asking.
thinking, that's sexual. It's not. It's just, it feels nice. It's like
Yeah.
sucking her thumb. It's self-soothing.
It's a comfort.
Just like the little boy who
I know,
is playing
I know.
Willycopter. It's a
but
comfort.
people do, they go, God, she's very sexual at a young age. You know what I mean?
I guarantee you.
Oh,
Do you know
wow.
what? They say actually children that learn about sex from a young age, or that they're given the proper language,
Yes.
and age appropriateness is really
Yes.
important here as well. And they're told about sex in a really open way.
Yeah.
They actually hold off having sex.
Totally, they're less likely to be.
Because it's more like the more knowledge the more they know about it, the more they're like, oh, actually, maybe it's not something I need to know. But if they're not given the proper language, or they're not told the correct ways things happen, or you're not open about it, they're more inclined to kind of get themselves into a situation where they don't know when to stop, maybe.
But is it okay to be really sexual as a woman?
Of course it's
course
okay to
it
be really
is.
sexual as a woman.
But is it like, you know, this slut shaming and all this? It's okay if maybe you're someone who isn't that sexually interested, or perhaps has a low libido, because we do know people like that. But it's also okay if you're super sexual, right?
Of course it is, yeah, absolutely.
And we
Like, it
are
takes all
born
sorts.
differently. Am I right?
We're born differently, but we're also born as sexual beings, aren't we? And sure, the reason why we're all here is because someone had sex with someone else and we popped out as a result. So absolutely. And I think that the whole slut shaming thing, I think we're moving a little bit on from that. But there's still a lot of shame around STIs, which is sexually transmitted infections, and particularly things like herpes, genital herpes and things like that, which there really shouldn't be, because I think that what we need to do is, if women are told this can happen, but they're also given the tools to say, look, you know, use condoms, you can do this, you can do that.
Yeah.
That's really important as well. So there's loads to it.
You're raising sons.
I am.
But that's kind of flipped it, because you are, you know, I don't want to say you're a feminist, but you are leading the way for women's health. You are fighting the good fight, like I've said, and you are raising, you could have had like 5 girls, right? You're raising 3 sons. Wow. Whoever they marry or don't marry or date or whatever happens to them, that person is going to be so lucky to be on the receiving end of that human. Am I right?
Well,
They're
I do
armed,
say,
they know, they
yeah.
fucking are aware of shit. They know about women's pleasure. They'll know about what the hell a vulva. They'll know about cycles. They will know, because boys are so vital to this conversation.
They absolutely are,
And are
men,
left out.
And I wouldn't say I'm a feminist. I'd say more I'm a inclusiveness person. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I just want everybody to know what they need to know. Yeah. Men need to know just as much about women's health as women. Because, you know, if you have and that's the problem as well, is that we're talking a lot about menopause now, but is it only women that are hearing it? Because the men need to hear it too, because they need to know what their women are going through. And just like boys need to know what a vulva looks like and the different bits that are associated with it, they also need to know about consent. They also need to know about pleasure. They also need to know that it's not just take. They also need to know that what they're seeing on porn sites is not real sex.
So you're talking about pleasure. When we would have been growing up, I think boys that you dated, no fault of theirs, and I don't think there was as much porn being watched because there wasn't as much
There's no
social media.
To it.
They had videos, whatever, but there wasn't as much. Right, so they
VCR.
They'd VCR. They stick on their dad's VCR.
They probably watch the same one over and over again.
Same gal, same magazine. Daddy watch it together. I'm just saying they're different content, right? There's so much out there now. We know there is, right? That's not even. It's a horrible area, but pleasure was still very lacking and I'm a millennial. It was more about like the man ejaculating, the man's pleasure, having the ride, maybe a bit of foreplay, but it was less really about women orgasming, all of that kind of stuff. And so you're arming us all, boys and girls, to just make sure that everyone's getting pleasure.
Well, I think it's really important, and there's a few people in the space doing a bit of that work as well. Jenny Keen's one of them.
Great.
She talks a lot about female pleasure and about how women need to embrace pleasure and be able to ask for what they want in the bedroom. And you're right, it's not just all take from anyone. It has to be a two-way street, doesn't it? And it's really important that the boys and the girls in this world know. But I think that the porn industry has done probably a lot of damage and will continue to do a lot of damage, because a lot of it's violent, a lot of it's still about male pleasure, a lot of it's about squirting and stuff that just doesn't happen in real life
all the time.
Yeah, straight into it. Like, you meet someone at the bus stop and you're straight into anal. Then 5 minutes later, like, it just does not work like that.
So that's what we do.
I think we need to be talking
bleaching
to our
bits,
children,
making sure women look a certain way, right?
100%. So we need to be talking to our children about that's not actually real life, because otherwise they're going to get themselves in trouble, and girls and boys, or they're going to expect things to be done to them, or to be done, or expect to be doing things to people that just is not going to feel comfortable. It's not going to feel right. So yeah, there's a lot there, isn't there?
There is a lot there. It's a grey area. It's a worry. It's lovely what you're saying about little girls just being open to touch and explore and not having the shame. And it's interesting. I think that's all new to me as well, if I'm honest. Cardiovascular health, you talk a lot about women. Can we break this down without like fat shaming, right? And without being like, don't eat that and go on a keto diet. I'm not saying any of that, but we do have an unhealthy diet in this country, or an unhealthy attitude to health. It's either an extremity of, your fitness influencers maybe looking a certain way, and then there's the kind of normal woman in Ireland who's, maybe stuck at home with 3-4 kids, not having access to a gym, right? Maybe not eating the kind of foods that she should be eating. But we do have an issue here with obesity.
Yeah.
Right? With issues with heart, diabetes. We do have an issue in this country.
We do. But there's a lot of food poverty in Ireland as well. And there's a lot of, and food is, what is more expensive, a punnet of strawberries or a Happy Meal? And when people have to choose between getting their kids, fill in their kids' bellies, it's really tricky. And you're right, but we're really busy too. So we're rushing out the door in the morning time. We're working all day to keep the house, roof over our head, maybe paying creche fees. And food is expensive too. And also food takes time to cook. You have to chop the vegetables, and you have to put time into thinking about what you're going to make. Literally half my day is spent, what the fuck am I going to feed them tonight? As I think, you're in the back of my head, what am I going to do?
Stop.
Because you always want to give them something healthy, and every parent and, every person is the same. And if in an ideal world, we'd all be eating the best that we could. I think that everything in moderation is really important. And I know that sounds really boring, and I'd love to give everyone the key to the best diet ever, but there isn't one, to be honest. It's everything in moderation. I love my takeaways. I love my glass of wine, my chocolate as well. But I do try, and for most of the week, eat healthily.
Sorry, you are very fit and healthy. This is not like, yes, you probably have good genetics, blah, blah, blah. But this is also because you purposefully work out.
Yeah.
Not for 7 hours a day, Laura.
No.
For how long?
I'll grab 30 minutes or
Fine.
20 minutes
30,
even.
20,
Yeah.
she'll either do yoga, we watch you do yoga, your HIIT or whatever. You eat well, and yes, you enjoy your bloody life. You go on a holiday. But you do purposefully, particularly at a certain age, we all know that, different if you were always having struggles 20s, but there's a certain age, everything starts to slow down.
Yeah.
And you're purposefully minding your health.
Yeah.
Not so that you can have a six-pack.
No. And I have a belly now that I would never have had when I was younger. Do you know, that kind of way? And that's because I'm perimenopausal. My weight, my fat is proportion itself in my body in different ways that it used to. So you tend to kind of lose muscle mass. So you might get the flat ass, and you might get a bit of a belly. That's the barrel shape.
You look like a dirty ride to me. I haven't seen it, but you can show me later.
Do you know what I mean? So it's I think that we need to also, as well as this whole thing of we need to be as healthy as we can, we also need to accept the fact that we're not going to have the body that we did when we were 21, nor would we want to. And even if you went in a calorie deficit, which you'd be miserable about, you can only go into that for so long and exercise your ass off. You're not going to have a flat stomach or a six-pack.
Why?
Because it's not the way we're built. Women weren't built to have a six-pack.
We're meant to store fat in
we
certain areas.
are meant to store fat, and a little belly is natural and
remember
normal.
That when you were young? What was it? The baby bearing hips or something? Do you remember all that shit when you were
childbearing hips?
Childbearing hips.
Yeah. But we are meant to have a little bit of a belly, and as we get older, it just gets a bit bigger. And I think that we need to kind of accept that, and also accept, just if we're trying to most of the time eat the best that we can and exercise, I think that that's all that we can do. And we need to almost go, look, I'm going to have a little bit of a belly. My boobs are going to droop a bit. I'm going to have, my arms aren't going to be as taut as they were. That's the way life happens. And aren't we lucky to kind of get to the age that we are? But we do need to maintain our health by exercising. It is really important for longevity, for health.
It's not
span.
just about eating well, because actually that's half the battle, yeah?
I think eating well is about 80% of it. Well, it's about 80% of it when it comes to weight
gain
in a lot of ways. Now, there are people that eat, no matter what they don't eat, they'll still be on the heavy side, and that's to do with genetics too. But I exercise because I want to have healthy bones when I'm older, because I want to have healthy muscles when I'm older. I want to bend over and tie my shoelaces. I want to wipe my own bum.
She wants to bend.
I want to bend over for Mr. Fabulous. No, I want to bend over to tie my shoelaces.
Mr. Fabulous, holy shit.
To tie my shoelaces, because I don't want to be dependent on other people. Because what happens is, as we get older, our muscle mass decreases, our mobility decreases, and that's why we end up dependent on people. And the last 10 years of our life can be pretty miserable. But if you can like live the last 10 years of your life pretty independently and then just die of old age, that would be wonderful. But you need to put in the work now. You need to be exercising. That's the weight.
Do you want to live a long time?
I want to live no, I want to live as healthy as I can for as long as I can. But if I was to be given a choice to die at 90 but have the last 10 years
of shite,
not being mobile, not being independent, I choose to die at 80 and have the last 10 years being that way.
Are you mentally very strong? Do you struggle with anxieties, worrying about what people think of you, the ups and downs of like, do you struggle a lot, or are you you seem like a very fulfilled,
God, I'm 44
positive.
now. Like, I mean, if people don't like me, they don't like me.
But you're very energetic. Do you would you say that you're a positive person?
I am energetic, and I am a glass half full type person. And I do, but I do, like, I mean, yesterday I woke up and I was like riddled with, oh my God, I have loads of work to do today, Jesus Christ. And that kind of anxious feeling. Overwhelm is right. But I got through the day and it was fine.
Yeah.
And today's a great day because I only have this podcast, and then I'm free this afternoon, and I might meet my husband for a coffee after this and just kind of do
romantic.
something like that.
How long are you married?
Way too long.
How long?
Since 2006. What does that make? Nearly 20 years? 18 years.
Why did you get married so young?
'Cause
What?
Yeah.
20, so you're 25.
I was 26 when I got married.
Okay.
I got married because we were together from when I was 18. I took him to the depths. I took him to the depths.
Stop it, you didn't.
Yes.
Why?
Because he was my friend's older brother, and I really fancied him from when I was 14. But we never got together. And then I had no one to bring to the devs because I didn't have a boyfriend or anything like that. So I bumped into her on the first day when I was in college in Trinity. The first day I bumped into her, she was in a couple of years ahead of me. She's like, who do you bring to the devs? I said, I don't know. Will I bring him? She's like, oh, he likes you. You should. And I went home, phoned him, like picked up the phone and dialed the phone and said, would you want to come to my devs? And we're together ever since. I can't get rid of him. I can't get rid of him now.
Is he in this industry at all? Does he know, like, do you talk about him? Is he visible? Do we know him?
No, he's always behind the scenes, but he's very much part of the business.
No way.
Yeah, he's a great help.
Interesting. Is he medically?
No, he's not medical. He's an accountant.
Okay.
But and interestingly enough, I brought him down for one of the shows. I did Viva La Vulva in Dublin, Kerry, Cork.
You're amazing.
And Galway.
You're amazing. Yeah.
And we chose Tralee because that's where his family are from, and we used to visit there every summer when his granddad was alive. And little did he know that I'd be bringing him back to Tralee with a room full of vulvas and all that. So yeah, it was gas.
Do you love your marriage?
Yeah, I do.
Do you care about it and care about it working?
I do, and you need to work on it though. You don't just get married and it's all a bed of roses. You need to work on it and spend time together. Like,
that's so interesting.
If we don't spend time alone together, things can kind of get a bit funky. Derailed because, we're working together now as well, but working together is not the same as having romantic out time together. So yeah, you do need to work on it. Marriage isn't, I wouldn't say marriage is like a bed of roses. And I think anyone that says that, oh, well, maybe that is for them and they're very lucky. But I think that like any relationship, it's like a friendship. Don't you need to put time and investment into meeting a friend?
Did having kids change it, or did you find that great?
No, I think we nearly the first fella nearly messed it up completely.
Yeah.
I was absolutely obsessive with breastfeeding.
Yes.
And totally eyes fixated on the baby. Yeah. And I was like, sorry, who are you?
Yes.
So our first baby had colic and he was tricky and he came out screaming and hasn't stopped.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a shock to the system because we were 8 years, 10 years together before we had a baby. So 10 years of just togetherness, and then your man comes in and totally,
changes everything.
Because when you become a mother, you very much change, I think, as a person.
Well, you're less bothered about their penis.
What, the babies or the?
No, well, you become more obsessed in your house.
You become more obsessed with your baby's penis.
I know.
Do you know
exactly.
what I mean?
No, like it's just like that's what
100%. So yeah, no, you do definitely need to kind of.
What kind of a mom are you?
Well. I don't know. I think the boys might say I'm strict.
Oh,
but
love that.
But I think Mr. Fabulous thinks I'm not strict enough sometimes. I like a peaceful, easy life, and sometimes if the boys are just, if they're being annoying, I mightn't come down on them like a ton of bricks like I should. That way. I think I try to toe the line of being nice and approachable, but also being their mother and not just a friend. I find the devices thing difficult to manage. I have to say that.
Okay.
I
There's
really
an addiction there still? Or?
I just think that kids these days, they have access to their phones, which gives them access to the world, which makes, they could be scrolling all day if you let them. And taking it off them then is a really fight, hard, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's addictive.
It absolutely is. So I think that social media has a huge role to play in, but then it's like, we can't blame social media. It's like the parents have to step in, but then you almost feel like you're always fighting with them.
Yeah. And then the irony is your business and what you're doing is built on this profile that you have on social media.
Oh, I know. Sorry,
so
guys, can't talk to you on my phone.
Do a TikTok. You know what I mean? What do you want to achieve? What is the legacy? Like, seriously, obviously you want to be a great mother and raise these boys, and like, lucky them. And I say that with just so much, like, I just think you're amazing.
They may not say that.
Well, affect them, right?
I'd say I'll be blamed, when they're in their therapy sessions and they're older, they'll be like, my mother used to go around with
dressed
vulva,
as a fucking
and she
vulva.
dressed as a vulva, and
you wonder why I'm screwed.
Yeah.
No, 100% like that will happen. That's cool though, right? You'll be in Ibiza. But what is it that you want to leave behind as the message? Because you are changing mindsets, changing lives, and educating us all. Like, you've educated me. I'm like, I know everything. Shit, I should stop shaming you know what I mean? What do you want to leave behind?
As in when I die, or just on the podcast? I suppose I want women to know that there's always a solution for their problem out there. There is an answer. They just need to know where to go and ask for help. They need to be unashamedly questioning when it comes to their health, and they need to not take no for an answer if they're not getting the right answer. And some people listening to me might go, oh, that's easy for you to say because I've been X, Y, and Z and I don't have X, Y, and Z money to spend on going to several different doctors. But I do guarantee you that if you advocate for yourself, you'll get a hell of a long way, and don't just take no for an answer.
Laura Dowling, Fabulous Pharmacist. You are fabulous. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We've learnt a lot.
Thank you. It's been lovely.
Paid advert by Aptamil Follow-On Milk, sponsored by Aptamil Follow-On. We believe that every feed is a gift. That's why we've dedicated over 50 years to breast milk research. Aptamil Follow-On Milk, your life, our science. Breastfeeding is best. Follow-on milk should be used as part of a mixed diet from 6 months. Talk to a health professional. I hope you enjoyed this episode of A Little Birdie Told Me, and if you did, it would mean a lot to me if you could like, subscribe and share this episode.